Hello everybody, this is Catherine Martin, Mrs. Martin, working with you today for your local library, and we're making book bag charms. So this is what the end result looks like. You're going to have 3 rows of various charms, and you have different color string, and then a gigantic clip. The clip also has 2 smaller clips on it as well, and this is great for attaching right onto the side of your book bag. This thing opens and closes very easily, and then you can just hang it when you're finished right on your book bag. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's what it's going to look like in the end, and this is going to be a fun project because you're going to design it the way you like. So let me go over the supplies for this and what you might need to have at your house ready to when you're ready to make this. So what I'm giving you are all these beads. You have about 20 in your supplies. Then there's some of these things called the sequin. And then you have 3 strings of different colors. You will have 2 of these round clips or key rings, smaller ones, and then one of these gigantors, this key clamp that can clamp onto the side of your book bag. Okay, and you just simply push this thing down when you're ready. So you've probably seen those already. All right, so let me get you started. You take out your beads, or you could put them all together. So I put mine in a little cup of all the colors and sizes that I have, different shapes. And then I put the sequins in here, and everybody got different styles and different sizes. So some of you might see square, round, oval, and the hole is right in the center, so I made sure everybody has 6. You could put one at the beginning and one at the end, whatever you choose. Also with the beads, you can decide how you want to make the chains. You can do them by just a variety. You can set them up for the types of beads you like the most, or put them in a particular order based on color, shape, because the football one is long, it's like an oval. And the rest of them are mostly round, various colors. So you might want to switch off on the colors and things like that. Okay, let me show you the next item. So the next item, we talked about the clip, the 2 clips, and the 2 rings. So what I would suggest that you could do is with the rings, let's get started with that, is you're going to hook the rings together. So very simply, you just open up. You can use a butter knife, you can use a tweezer. Just open it up, the side, and then hook the other one together into it. And very simply, you just make it go around until you get to the end, and then they're hooked together. And then very simply, I would just clip them right onto the clamp, and then you're ready to go. Okay, and then the final item that you're going to have are the strings. So I gave everybody 3 different colors. They're all just about the same length. So I gave you a brownish orange, a reddish, and a blue color. And there's 3 of them because you're going to make 3 chains, and that's why you got 6 sequins, because each chain could have a beginning and an end with one of the sequins. Okay. Other supplies that are going to be handy for you that you might need, definitely a tweezer might be handy. A scissor would be handy if you're at the end, maybe to cut the edges off. So these are just regular kitchen scissors or everyday scissors that we have in our house. Same thing with the tweezers, regular kind of tweezers in case you need to pick something up They come in really handy for grabbing onto the beads and or the sequins. You may want to dump your sequins into a special cup. I have them in little cups for you, plastic style cups. So you could possibly leave it in there is fine. Just so that you could see what you have and that you could grab them if needed. All right, so I am going to begin with my chain here, what we put together already. And I'm going to start with one of my strings, so maybe I'll start with red. And I go to the end of the red string. If there's any loose pieces on the string itself, either you could just very gently take them off, or if it's not broken off, you can incorporate it into the project itself. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the string through the longest ring, the furthest ring away from the clamp, the clip. And I'm just putting it like that. And then I'm just going to tie it. I'm leaving about an inch, 2 inches, actually a little bit more, little bit over 2 inches of an end like that, so that I can make some knots in here. So I want to make sure that I make at least 3 knots. So how do you make a knot? You just crisscross it like this, and then you'll put the end through the hole and you pull it through. It's sort of like what you do with your sneakers, with your shoelaces. Then I'll do it again. I'll make a little loop and I put the end through it and I pull it through like that and make it tight. And then you can see, look, I have 2 knots. Now I'm going to do a third. And I quite possibly could do a 4th on this one. I'm gonna. Now why would we want to do 4 or at least 3? Well, we want to make it so it's secure. So look at that. That can't open or come loose or anything. And you see this little edge that's left over. We're going to bury that and I'll show you in a few minutes, so it's hidden into the beads once we start putting the beads on. Okay, so now I did the next one for you, and it looks like that. I did 2. I did blue and orange here, and then I have my, and then I also am going to have my red. So let me just do that one again. So you're going to wind up with all 3 of them on here. So I would do that at the same time. Again, one more time, make a little, at least 2 inches of a little edge, tie it around, pull it through, and make like maybe 4 knots. At any time, you could stop this video and pause it, replay it, or skip some parts if need be. Okay, so here we go. So here are my 3 colors, and my strings are tied on. And now what I have to decide is, what do I want to do with my beads? So do I want to put all the same colors on one of the strings? So let's take a look at the beads. And what I would do is play with this for a couple minutes. Maybe I would put, I'm going to try it by putting all the same ones together. So here's my baseballs, soccer. And you could even use your tweezer for this if your hands, if you're not able to grab them. I put baseball and basketball. Okay, so sometimes we'll have some extra other beads in there as well for you, like tennis. All right, so notice there's 5 of each in this set. Some other sets have other included styles. But for this one, so I'm thinking do we want to have, we have 3 chains, so we could think of having a mixture of some of them, or we could put them by color. They're basically almost the same size except for the footballs. And the way I did it before, I made it random. So let me bring that back and show you again. These were randoms, they were just mixes. And then I put the sequence at the top. These are rounds, and at the bottom. So think about that. So let's pull out our sequence. In this kit, I have some little round ones. I'm going to use the tweezers for this. I'm going to spread them. Various colors. You should definitely have 6. So I think that maybe I'll do random patterns so that I can start out with a sequence. So the first thing is, on the end of your string, you're going to feed the sequence through the string or the hole. So some of them are really tiny, so you have to just make the string smaller, and you can feed it in by pushing it with the tweezers. So that's what I'm doing right now. Just going to push it in. Also, if you have a little needle, you can use a needle to push it in as well. It does help if you twist it, and then you could push it through, because we're making it smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, and that's what I'm just doing now. And what I'm doing is I'm squeezing the string into the hole, and I'm just pushing it through. So once I get it started, I'm just going to show you by pulling it through. So you just got to pull and push for a minute on this until you get it into it. Okay, so here I got it started. I don't know if you could see that. It's a little bit hard to see. And then I'm going to pull the string through on the other side. So what I did was, you could possibly have a little droplet of water next to your table as well. And the water you can use to wet the end of the string and make it really, really tiny. And then put the sequence next to put the hole next to the end, and then feed it through with the tweezers. Like push it through with the tip of the tweezers. All right, so I'll pull the sequence all the way up to the top, like this. And now what I want to think about is I want to get rid of this piece that's sticking off the edge as much as possible. So again, I'm going to twist that as much as I can to make it a really small edge. And then I'm going to dip it in a little water and tighten it up by twisting it. So I made it as tiny as I could. Then I'm going to take it next to the sequence, and I'm going to push it through the sequin hole. Again, it takes a minute or two. It takes a little patience, and it takes some concentration, because if you hold it nice and tight, you could just squeeze it right through that hole. That's probably going to take you the longest out of anything. Okay, and then I see a little piece coming through on this side. I can come around, I could pull it, and then I could see, oh, a little section didn't go through. Only parts of it went through, so now I'll go back and I'll push the other one through with the tweezers. Again, you got to take some concentration on this part for a minute or two. Pull it through. There we go. Now the purpose of doing that, it looks like here too I have, yeah, let me pull the sequence up. And then you could pull it all the way to the edge. And then look what happened. The knotted section and the string are now together on the same side of the sequence. So basically it's going to help us to get rid of that messy looking part. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide my beads up. So one chain might be a little bit longer, so let me show you that too. Let's think about that. So over here on my practice example, I made the middle chain longer. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I could split the other chains. So I could have one longer chain if you want. So I could do a 7, you know, and then put the rest on the edges. So then when it hangs on your book bag, one of the chains will be a little bit longer. Now this is all up to you. You can decide what you want to do, what kind of colors you want to do, what order, what shape. So I'm going to start with soccer. And then basically you just string it in. And then when you get to this part here, just make sure that you push that extra little piece of string through. Okay, and there's the soccer. And then I'm just going to go random. I have basketball. Again, making sure this one went through on both of them. And look, I'm almost done with that little piece, so possibly by the next one it would have, it's going to be disappearing, which is great because now it makes my project look so much neater. Okay, so now I put a football, so look at that. Now you can't see that little piece of string anymore. It's such a great idea because it makes it so much neater looking. Okay, so let me think. So what do I have now? Maybe a baseball? All right, so there's 4. And then I could repeat, you know, any type of order that I want to go in. Maybe I'll do a basketball next, and then maybe I can end with a soccer again. Okay, so this one has 7. Oh, this one has 6 actually. Let's go to maybe another football. Yeah, that'd be fun. Let's do another football. Again, get that football in there, pull it through. Good. So look how much string I have left. This is a perfect amount because you're going to need it to make some knots. So I'll pick up another one of these little sequins. And again, the holes are really tiny and the edge of the string is really fluffy. So the best way is dip it in some water. And then you could twist it. And I'm going to line it up exactly with the hole. See if I can bring it closer. And then I'm going to push it through with the tweezers. Again, this takes a minute or two because you're going to be concentrating on what you're pushing through. So, can you see that? Let's see. Push it through. And I feel it going through. Also, if you have a little needle, like from sewing, you could use that to push it through. And once you start seeing it come through on the other side, you could grab it with the tweezers. Holding it between your fingers. There we go. And then I pull it through. Again, it's a little frustrating. It takes a minute or two. Now, I am pulling this the sequence right up to the beads. There's not really a lot of flexibility or space. You can leave a tiny little bit of space in between each one so that the beads can flex while they're hanging on your book bag. Now, you don't want to go too much because then this other piece will start popping out. So a little bit of flexibility. Just to have a tiny bit of movement. Then what I'm going to do at the end here is I'm going to begin to make some knots. How do I do the knots? Make a circle, feed the other end through, and bring the knot all the way up to the edge of where you ended with the sequence. Now, if you're having trouble getting the knot right to the edge, the best way is you can hold this with the tweezer and you can kind of push the knot down to the edge of, let me see if I could show you that better. See, I push the knot by holding it, and I hold it with my fingers, and then I push the knot down with the tweezers. Okay, so that's number one. Now we'll make, maybe let's make 4. Only because we don't want it to get broken. Again, how do you do it? Make a loop. Feed the end part of the string through the loop. You can use the tweezers. It's really helpful. Okay, pull it through. And then with your fingers, just pull the knots so they're next to each other and touching. They don't have to overlap each other, but they have to be touching each other, because you don't want the beads really to move. So that's 2. Here's number 3. And I'll pull that through. Again, pulling the string all the way up. You can do it with your fingers even if you want. If the knots go on top of each other, that's okay too, because look what happened. It's holding it securely. And I'm going to make one more. So in one more loop, one more pull through like this with my tweezers. And just make sure you have all the pieces. Yeah, like that. And look how nice and neat they came out. They serve a purpose. And look at this little piece on the end. This little piece on the end also serves a purpose because it's going to be a little train or trail to the edge of your work. So I wouldn't cut it right now. I would just leave it there. And look how cute that came out. All right, so that's your first one. Let's go to our next color. And you're going to repeat this a couple of 3 times. Now this brown one, I'm making the knots a little bit tighter because it actually seemed like it was opening a little. Once I secure this with the beads, it should be fine. So now let's look back at how many, what kind of beads we have and what order we might want to go in. So we're going to do probably 6 now, maybe. So let's think of what we want to do. I'm grabbing the edge of this brown. I'm going to make it a little bit different from my first one. I'm going to go in a different order. So I started with soccer, so maybe I'll start with baseball on this one. And that'll feed the base. Oh, first, don't forget, I almost forgot. We're going to put the sequence first. So again, you have to wet the edge of the string or the rope, whatever you want to call it. Feed it into the hole. The hole is really tiny. Make the string really small. Feed it in, get it set up, and look, it's already pushing through. On this one, I didn't even need the tweezers. And then I'm pulling it. Oh, that one worked out really well. and then I'm pulling it to the end. Again, I want to feed that little edge where I made my knot through, so I'm going to wet the edges with some water and twist it, and then I'm going to try to feed it through. Now this one is a little bit different because it has a couple of parts, so I'm going to try to feed all the parts through. So since it's in parts, I can do each one separately. I think I'm going to grab my tweezers on this one, and I'm going to push them through. Again, patience. I know this one is going to be a little bit harder, maybe, but after you do it for about a minute, you should be able to get it to go through. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to take a look at this side and see if I got it to come through. And this one I'm having a little technical. Let's see if I could get it. Again, that needle might do it for you if you have a little sewing needle. Just keep pushing them through and grab them on the other side. Alrighty. Just push it. Now, if you're having a lot of technical problems with this, you could pull it up to the end also. And then maybe with the sewing needle, just push it right through. I'm just starting. I'm twisting it again. This one is not cooperating very much. Okay, so for now I'm just pushing this up. I'm going to work on that in a minute. Let's put the beads on. So we said baseball first. We're going to feed it from the other end. And you can work on it off air. I didn't want to take up your video time, but I'm going to work on that in a few minutes off video so that I can get it to go nice and smoothly. So here we have maybe a football. And again, I'm twisting it so it cooperates. And here we go. And then I'll do maybe a basketball. The great thing about these beads is they have a really wide hole. Maybe I'll go to soccer. And then I'll keep a watchful eye on how many beads do I have left. So I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I can go a couple more on this one. So maybe I'll do basketball. And maybe I'll do baseball. So look at that. That looks really nice. So that's about 6. So I could do 6, and I could do another row of 7 on my next one if I like. All right, so now let's think about wetting the edge. Let's wet the edge. And well, let's pick up another sequence. And we'll get it ready to feed. Again, this is the toughest part because it's a tiny little hole. Hold it up against the hole, push it through with the needle or the tweezers, and grab it from the other side. And try it again. And push it through. And grab it. Okay, I got some of it. I got some. Here we go. So I got, on this one, I got a piece of it. So let me just feed the other part in. And push him through the hole. If you're having a lot of problem with the sequins, you can make the holes a little bit bigger. That would be maybe a smart idea too. How would you do it? You can use a scissor. You can use a knife. Have your parents help you. And I'll see also about making the holes a little bit bigger for you to make it easier. So that when you get to this part, it goes nice and quick. Here we go. Because if I want it to go nice and smooth for you guys. So feed it in, get it to the hole, push it through. 1, 2, 3. Grab it from the other side and pull. Alrighty, thank goodness I got that one. Alright. Okay, so pull it up, start the knots, and it's repeat again exactly what we did last time with the knots. 1. And look, that one's a little bit down, so there's a little space there. Maybe I'll push it through. Bring it down. Again, the easiest way to do this is if you hold everything nice and tight. You can just bring the knots down. Another way is to use the tweezers. And pull them down. I'll make another one. They can overlap and then they would incorporate into each other. As you go. Look at that. And then you have a piece here on the end. I'm going to make one more, so that would be 4. All right. Look at that. That came out really nice so far. Good. All right, and then your last one, you have blue left. I'm just tightening it because the blue little bit of a string is here. So start with the sequins. The sequin. Sounds like sequence. Again, wet the end. You could dip it in water, twist it. Get it lined up with the hole. And then push it in. So really, I'm lining it up. Pushing it through. And pulling it on this side. There you go. Pull it down to the end. Again, we want to feed this part in as much as possible. And so we wet that, twist it, wet it, feed it. Let me get that going. I have to go back and fix my other one too. And I'll hold it against here. Push it through with the tweezers. Okay, that one just slipped a little. Let's hold it again. And let's try it again. Alrighty, and then I'm going to grab it on this side. This one's slipping for me. Now the sequin might bend a little. You can bend it back. It's made out of plastic. Push it through. I will definitely make sure that the holes are bigger for you guys so that it goes a lot quicker and easier. All right, and then I'll grab this. There we go. I'll pull it through. Now I'll rebend my sequence back to its original shape and form because it got squished. All right, so maybe I'll start with a football on this one. We're almost finished. And you basically, I guess, if you're having a problem, you can turn, wet and turn. And feed. One. Making sure this goes in. Beautiful. And then random colors, shapes, sizes. And feeding. And I'll just, if it comes to not feeding very well, you can wet it again and feed it in. Pushing it through, there we go. Alrighty, just about done. Feed my last one. Baseball and soccer. There we go. The last sequence. Wet the end, round it as much as possible. Take the sequence. In this case, I'm just going to widen the hole a little bit because it's very small. Yeah, look at that, much better. Push it up against there, push it through, feed it. Good job. Pull it through on the other side. Fix the sequence if it got bent, and then make the knots. And you have created this beautiful backpack charm. I would say 4 knots again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull the loop through. And didn't it come out fabulous? You can easily put it on your book bag by clipping. That clip charm, and I'll show you. Making sure these knots are all lined up. Pulling them with the tweezer. All right. Look how beautiful that came out. Now, each of the ends, if you want to make them even, you can cut them with some scissors. Or do you like the ends like this? You can leave them. And look how beautiful that came out. Here's the clip. It goes right on your book bag. Well, thanks so much for doing this project with us today. I hope you really enjoyed, and I hope that you found it fun. Thanks again, Catherine Martin, for your local library, and enjoy. Have a good day. Have a fun school year. Take care.